Welcome to another episode, everyone. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. Well, the people have spoken in the comments, said that I should continue on with the sort of content that I'm doing because it is reaching and helping people. So I will do just that while always looking for ways to improve my content and improve the channel. Trust me, I still have some other ideas. Also, some people went to my other channel, Reactionary Politics. The link is in the description. And they said, man, I didn't know that you had another channel. Yes, Reactionary Politics. The link is in the description. We're having real conversations over there. Let's get to part 2. Go support, go subscribe, please. Let's get to part 2 of the rolling 60s crashed out. Now, as I said, when we left off, Snoop and his goons had attacked. You all asked for a part 2. It was never supposed to be a part 2, but you speak, I listen. Snoop and his goons crashed out on a high-ranking member from rolling 60s. You can make the argument that they didn't have a legitimate reason to crash out on this individual. He was not a snitch. He was not a chomo, and he was high-ranking. Because he had a bit of acrimony with Snoop, these individuals turned on him. Now, as I said, there were some individuals who were not with it from the beginning. They did not support Snoop in his endeavor to remove this individual. They felt like he should not be removed. They knew who he was, the whole nine, whatever. They said, nah, man, they wasn't with it. But he had plenty of goons who was with it. They attacked and moved him now and removed him. One of the young homies from 60's who I converse with on a daily basis, he's keeping me abreast of what's going on now because the removal has transpired, and he says that even people on the street are not happy about this. As I've said, on a level 4 180 yard, which is the highest maximum security you can get in California other than a shoe program, you have a lower yard and you have the upper yard. And there is a wall, a big wall, separating the two. If you're on the upper yard, you can't see who was on the lower yard, vice versa. There's a huge wall. Nevertheless, the communication with the other yard is strong. It's the same yard. We were on C yard, but again, the upper and the lower. But we can communicate rather well because we go to visiting together. We go to canteen together, the law library, medical, everything behind the wall, but behind this other wall, the upper yard and the lower yard goes there. So everyone on the lower yard, you're going to find out the same day. Whenever something major happens, everyone on the lower yard, all of the neighborhood Crips anyway, they found out what transpired on the upper yard. That these individuals removed this high-ranking individual in the most brutal of fashions. Now, they are very upset. And they have received word from the hierarchy, apparently, to avenge this individual's removal. They said that Snoop was wrong for attacking him and having his goons attack him. And this situation must be rectified rather immediately. So their plan was to move some of the neighborhoods to the upper yard, from the lower yard to the upper yard. This is easily done. All Snoop has to do, he has all of the juice, is tell the police, move such and such. He can get 5 individuals, 10 individuals from the lower yard, move to the upper yard immediately. All he needs is their names. Tell the police, move all of them to the upper yard, and they're going to move them. These individuals are indeed all of a sudden asking to be moved to the upper yard. They're telling Snoop, get us moved up there. He knows something is up. This is rather suspicious. Why all of a sudden do these individuals want to move to the upper yard where this transgression just took place? Well, they have retribution in mind. Snoop, ironically enough, ends up leaving. He I believe he went home, actually. He left the yard after being on the yard for some time and having all of the juice and calling all of the shots. One can say that Snoop escaped. I don't know, take it how you want, because these individuals were raving mad about the individual who had just been poked on. So they told some other individuals up there on the upper yard, get us moved up there. And now these individuals, they did just that. It was another ranking individual down there on the lower yard who moved up to the upper yard. And clearly, he was taking Snoop's position. He was taking over now. He was the shot caller. The rolling 40 Crips were super tight with the rolling 60s at this time. They had no beef on the street. When you saw a 60 in there, you saw a 40. They were one and the same, just neighborhood car. They were extremely tight. Some of them were also upset about the vicious removal that had transpired. At least 7 or 8 individuals from the lower yard moved to the upper yard. And their first order of business was one of the individuals who was deeply involved in the attack. Apparently, the idea had been floated around to attack every individual who was involved. They considered them to be culpable, to be complicit in some way. Well, in their estimation, these individuals should not have acquiesced to Snoop. They were docile. How can you agree to attack a high-ranking member just based on what this individual said, who is not a snitch, not a chomo, etc.? So the idea had been floated around to viciously remove all of them who were involved from the yard. Ultimately, they decided that they had 2 individuals as a target. The main 2 who they believe sanctioned the hit on the high-ranking member. Obviously, Snoop was the primary individual and the primary target. Nevertheless, he's gone now. This is why you have to be careful with the decisions that you make. Now you're left holding the bag. So when these individuals got there to the upper yard, well, they went to work rather quickly. The first individual on the list was there in 5 building, inside of the day room. And at least 3 of the individuals who had moved to the upper yard were in this building now. And they had him in their sights. Go out to the day room. I pretty much already know what is about to transpire. I've been put up on it. This dude is about to be violently attacked in the same fashion that the high-ranking member was. They are not about to display any mercy. And indeed, he's sitting down there. He's sitting down. He should have known better, because even he was apprehensive and had felt the tension. Certainly, because he's looking around at first. He's a bit nervous. You can see it. And yet he decided there's no threat here, and went on and sat down and just sitting there down there laughing and joking with someone next to him on the bench watching the TV. Perhaps also, I'm thinking, trying to make it seem like he's not worried that, he hadn't done anything wrong. He has nothing to worry about. He was also a ranking member, but he was involved in the attack, and all of these dudes have to go, at least these particular 2. As he's sitting there watching the TV, laughing and joking, thinking things are sweet around here. 3 individuals approached from the back. Actually, one of them was a member of the Rolling 40 Crip. The other 2 were Rolling 60 members, and I knew who they were, but that's neither here nor there. They approached, and he turned around, just apparently feeling these individuals approaching. He turned around, but it was far too late, and they got on him. Bam, 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 all 3 of them. I mean, they swarmed him, and viciously, they didn't say a word. They just viciously attacked. The dude that he was right there talking to got up and got out of the way. He bagged up and ran up back, basically up against the wall, and let them take care of the business. And they got old boy on the ground, and they dogged him out. They're kicking him, they're beating him, they're hitting him. And finally, the police tell everybody to get out. They still didn't get out. They own him. They stabbing him up, and it's bad. You can see the blood squirting out from everywhere. His face is bloody. He got holes in his face. All three of them got blinkies out, and they own him. It was a vicious attack. It was ugly. Finally, just like the high-ranking member was, he's laying down there essentially immobile, not moving. Really nothing to see here. This is a regular occurrence here on the yard in high desert. People being attacked and not being able to move after the attack, because all of the attacks were so vicious. They gaffled up those three members, took old boy out. The nurses and them came in there working on the individual who was the recipient of this brutal attack. He survived, went to medical, and was in the hospital for some time trying to recover. But the work was not done. We did go on lockdown for a few days, not for long, because the new shot caller essentially persuaded the administration. He convinced them with a cogent argument that it was over. That had to be done. It had to happen, but you can let us off lockdown now. The cleanup crew is finished. We cleaned up what needed to be cleaned up, but this was all a lie. He was being mendacious. The truth was they were not done. They had one more individual keenly in their sights, but the administration, they bit the apple and let them off of lockdown just after a few days. And once again, I was made abreast of the situation that was about to transpire, this time there on the yard. The other individual who they had in their sights was about to be taken down immediately. This is like the next day after we came off of lockdown. I'm pretty sure to this day, he didn't think that he was a target. He believed that he had just been following orders, and that's apparently the conclusion that they had made with everyone else when they had at least floated the idea of attacking all of them. Essentially, ultimately decided to target two individuals in particular. Their reasoning was that these individuals were just following orders. They should not have followed these orders as far as they were concerned. But nevertheless, that is what they were doing. Just being good soldiers, if you will. This individual apparently thought that he had escaped with that same reasoning. Man, I was just following orders, but for whatever reason, he was a target. They felt like you were doing more than just following orders. You were heavily involved in the attack, and you have to go. Out there on the yard, I'm virtually in the same place I was when the first attack took place, over there near the pull-up bars, with my crew out of the way. And the target is walking around the track. They've released all of the buildings now. He's walking around the track, and I am doing my pull-ups, but I'm watching. I want to know how this situation is going to be handled. He's not walking alone. He has 2 to 3 individuals with him. They're all walking around the track. But certainly they knew that an attack was imminent and to get out of the way when these other individuals approach. Now, these new individuals that have come from the lower yard, I don't know all of them. So I don't know which ones are about to carry out this attack. I just know that it's about to happen. So I don't really know who to watch. So I'm just watching all the neighborhoods, basically. trying to see who it is about to carry this out. When you're over there working out and looking, eventually I see 3 neighborhoods or so walking briskly behind the crowd of the target. I'm tapping the homies. I'm like, look, there you go. There it is right there. There they go right there. I'm just letting them know, get ready to get down or whatever. Get ready to get down. You got anything on you, get it off for you. You got a knife on you, get it off for you. It's about to happen. So everybody's looking. And these dudes, we all know it's about to come. They walking briskly. Dude turned, he certainly saw him. Way before the first dude in the day room, he saw him. It wasn't too late by the time he saw him. He turned around, he see him coming at him. He see him. There's just not much he can do. The other individuals that he was walking with, they got out of the way. They kept going. And now he knows, okay, I'm the target, it's on. So he right there, he didn't run. He did not run or any of that. Maybe he should have. Because they coming up on him briskly and they all drew out. I mean, just, playtime is over. You can see the weapon in all of their hands. And then they start running towards him at this time. And surprisingly, I didn't see him pull out a weapon because he knew that he was a target, that his answer did not suffice with the hierarchy as to why he was involved in carrying out this attack on this high-ranking member. He knew this. But for whatever reason, he did not have a knife. He had one when you got on the high-ranking member. You should have had one to protect yourself. Nevertheless, they got up on him. They just ran towards him at one point. They got close enough to where they just started running. All 3 of them. I'm like, oh man, here we go. And dude, he put his head down and threw up his hands and was like trying to swing or whatever, or trying to block the knife thrust. Again, he didn't run or get out or start hollering for the towers, the gun towers or whatever. He just put up his hands and was trying to swing and block the thrust. But when he did that, he really opened up his insides. He opened up his stomach, his chest, his guts. Left that vulnerable. Put his hands up, and they were smart enough to start coming from under. Bam! They lifting up with the thing on him, in his stomach, in his guts. Boom, boom. Like, oh, whoa, whoa, man, look. Whoa. Woo wee. He's done. This dude done. He hit the ground. Bam. And they didn't stop. They were on it. They clearly had orders to make this attack brutal, because they indeed did. They didn't let up on this dude. The gun tower, they finally said, get out, get out. Everybody got out except these dudes. They still on him, hitting him hard. Bam, 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 bam. All 3 of them. He had to have had at least 50 stab wounds, minimum, bro. The gun tower comes running out of the gun tower. They had a little walkway outside of the yard, the main gun tower. He come running out with the Mini 14, running over there to where the side of the yard that they are on. He running down his walkway outside though, up on the yard rail, pointing down the gun. Last warning, get out, stop now. Because I'm thinking, oh yeah, he finna shoot one of these dudes because they wasn't stopping. And the California rule book is rather clear that if someone's life is in danger, then you have a right to protect that life, be it an inmate or a police. If you see a weapon and someone being attacked with a weapon, you have a right to shoot, and there are no warning shots. So in other words, it's a headshot. It's not a warning. We're not shooting in the grass to warn you to stop. We shooting, we popping you. But they finally got out I'm thinking, man, this dude finna bust him. He finna bust. That's what I'm thinking now. One of these dudes finna get killed. One of the attackers are about to get killed because they wasn't stopping. I've seen the Norteños do this a lot. And the Sereños right there in the hot desert, where they was hitting dude and wouldn't stop. The gun tower is on them. Stop now. And I'm like, whoa, they finna bust. Because these dudes wouldn't stay still on him. And again, you're supposed to protect that life. So a lot of times they get away with it though. And they got away with it there. They finally stopped. Came, got them, cuffed them up, took them off the yard. Once again, they needed the assistance of medical, who came rushing to the yard, trying to save this individual's life, which they did. He survived the attack as well. At least physically, he recovered. I'm sure will never be the same mentally, emotionally, after such a vicious attack. Gang member or not, we're all human. And that's what happened there. And it was pretty much over after that. They felt like they had cleaned up the yard and cleaned up the necessary individuals that needed to be cleaned up. The other individual was still the new shot caller. And, essentially, I guess, let them know nothing like that could ever happen again. Never put your hands on a high-ranking member based on some personal, individual conflict he has with someone else, regardless of who that someone else is. Let them hash that out themselves. So there was a valuable lesson to be learned in that situation. But there was a lot of bloodshed. The neighborhoods there in High Desert at this time were very deep. As I said, they were all together. They were the deepest on the yard, for sure. And they was putting in work. They were putting in work. Snoop had them putting in work. Not just him. I mean, you still have to have your own heart in order to do it. So it was really under his direction that some of these incidents were going down there on the yard. Then the new individual who was the shot caller, once he cleaned up some stuff, he had them on a different page. And they were looking strong and, not to be messed with at that time, bro. There you have it. Stay out of there. At the end of the day, none of these stories end well. Gang banging, you go inside a prison, and first of all, you're going to be friends or even be in a cell with the individual of the hood that you're in there for. You kill someone from this hood because he's your opposition, or so you believe, and then you get to prison and you have to hang out with these people anyway. It makes no sense. It's just all backwards, bro. But you didn't give your life up for it, meanwhile. No way. Let me know what you think in the comments. Snoop, I said Snoop got away, as I said, because in my mind, for sure, they were going to come for him had he still been on the yard. The dudes from the lower yard came up there to remove these dudes. These two dudes, there's no way they wouldn't have tried to remove that, at least came at him. Maybe things would have been different. Maybe he had some goons there. Maybe they were just a little lost without him. I don't know. Maybe he'd had them ready, strapped up. The dudes would have came up there and it just would have been an all-out war. I don't know. But he would have been a target. That's all I'm saying. Stay safe and stay free, people.